The rise of Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party in Germany in the 1930s is one of the most disturbing and significant events of the 20th century. Hitler's regime and the atrocities committed by the Nazis during World War II continue to haunt us today. While the rise of Hitler and the Nazis is a dark chapter in human history, there are important lessons to be learned from it. Welcome back to our channel. In today's video, we will examine some of the key things we can learn from Hitler's rise to power. Number 1. The dangers of propaganda. One of the key tactics used by Hitler to gain support was propaganda. He used it to spread his ideas, manipulate the public, and create a sense of fear and hatred towards certain groups. The Nazi Party used propaganda in the form of posters, speeches, and rallies to promote their ideology and appeal to the masses. Hitler understood the power of propaganda and used it to his advantage. He used simple slogans and repeated them constantly until they became ingrained in people's minds. The Nazi Party also controlled the media and used it to spread its message and silence dissenting voices. The lesson to be learned here is that propaganda can be dangerous when it is used to manipulate people and spread hatred. It is important to be aware of the power of propaganda and to question the messages we are being fed. Number 2. The importance of democracy and free speech. Hitler and the Nazis rose to power in a democratic country. However, once in power, they quickly dismantled democracy and silenced all opposition. Hitler believed in the supremacy of the state and saw democracy and free speech as impediments to his vision. The lesson to be learned here is that democracy and free speech are essential to maintaining a just and fair society. When democracy is weakened or removed, it opens the door to authoritarianism and tyranny. Number 3. The dangers of scapegoating. Hitler and the Nazis held the Jews responsible for Germany's woes. They utilized anti-Semitic language to incite hatred towards Jews, depicting them as less superior. This scapegoating resulted in the Holocaust, which is still one of the biggest atrocities the world has ever witnessed. The lesson here is that scapegoating is hazardous and can have disastrous effects. It is critical to resist the urge to blame one group for all of society's ills. Number 4. The importance of resisting extremism. Hitler and the Nazis were extremists who believed in the superiority of the Aryan race and the need for violent conquest. They sought to impose their views on the world and were willing to use any means necessary to achieve their goals. The lesson to be learned here is that extremism must be resisted at all costs. We must be vigilant in our defense of democracy and human rights and stand up to those who seek to impose their views on others. Number 5. The dangers of nationalism. Hitler and the Nazis believed in the concept of National Socialism, which placed the interests of the nation above all else. This led to the belief in the superiority of the German people and the need for violent expansion. The lesson to be learned here is that nationalism can be dangerous when taken to extremes. When we place the interests of our nation above all else, we risk losing sight of the common humanity that binds us all together. Number 6. The importance of confronting evil. Hitler and the Nazis committed some of the most heinous atrocities in human history. They were responsible for the deaths of millions of people, including 6 million Jews in the Holocaust. The world was slow to confront this evil, which allowed it to grow and spread. The lesson to be learned here is that we must confront evil whenever we see it. We must be willing to stand up to those who seek to harm others and to speak out against injustice. Number 7. The importance of education. Hitler and the Nazis rose to power in a country where education was highly valued, yet they used education to spread their ideology and indoctrinate the youth. Hitler and the Nazi Party used schools and other educational institutions to teach their racist and anti-Semitic views, which helped to create a generation of young people who were committed to the Nazi cause. The lesson to be learned here is that education is a powerful tool that can be used for good or evil. It is important to ensure that education promotes critical thinking, empathy, and a commitment to human rights and social justice. Number 8. The importance of international cooperation. Hitler and the Nazis sought to expand their empire through conquest and domination. They believed that the German people were superior to all others and sought to impose their views on the world. This led to a devastating world war that claimed millions of lives. The lesson to be learned here is that international cooperation is essential to maintaining peace and security. When countries work together to promote common goals and resolve conflicts peacefully, they can create a better world for all. Number 9. The dangers of complacency. Hitler and the Nazis rose to power in part because the German people were complacent. They believed that Hitler's extremist views were unlikely to gain widespread support, and they underestimated the danger he posed. The lesson to be learned here is that complacency can be dangerous. We must be vigilant in our defense of democracy and human rights, and be willing to stand up to those who seek to undermine them. Number 10. The importance of learning from history. Finally, the rise of Hitler and the Nazis reminds us of the importance of learning from history. By studying the events of the past, we can gain valuable insights into human nature, the dangers of extremism and tyranny, and the importance of democracy and human rights. The lesson to be learned here is that history is a valuable teacher. We must be willing to learn from the past and apply those lessons to the challenges of the present and future. These were all the things that we can learn from Hitler's regime. We can all agree that most of these were negative, considering that Hitler was involved, but every coin has two sides. Even though there was nothing right that Hitler did in his time, we can still learn a few positive things from the rise of Hitler. Let's get to them. Number 1. Commit to your goals. We hear goal setting and goal planning is very important to achieve our goals. Indeed, it is way too important. If you don't have a goal, you have nothing to work for. But what do we generally do with our goals? We set too many goals for almost every month and every year, and we just forget them in a few days or weeks. And after some time, we don't even remember what actually the goal was. We tend to make scenarios and excuses for ourselves so that we cannot work anymore for our planned goals. The same thing happened to Adolf Hitler. His dream of conquering the whole world seemed to be just a dream when the whole world came together to their defense, but the strongman Adolf Hitler was never ready to give up. He faced all his failures and got up to fight again and again without doubting himself. Number 2. Better to work with a team ignoring individual interests. This is the most interesting part, which we all hate to do no matter it's our family, friends, or our organization. We all look for our individual interests and benefit even the simplest task. Also, if we are forcefully made to do a team-oriented task, we tend to conflict and argue with team members to obey our orders and do it as it suits us the best. We never realize how much better things can go if all the team members ignore their personal interests and work together. We can accomplish a huge goal, which seems impossible to achieve without much difficulty. Also, every person has a different ideology, and we can choose the easiest method if we cooperate and learn to be good team players. If we thoroughly look and study the historical events during the rise of Adolf Hitler, we will find that in 1939, when Adolf Hitler was 50 and assumed that he would not live longer, he will be attacking Poland irrespective of knowing that huge destruction will be caused as his soldiers were lesser. He passed similar orders again in 1945 due to his personal thoughts and desires, which could be a huge disaster for his team and even the whole country. Number 3. Change is the key. We make many mistakes in our lives, but letting our spirit down is the greatest mistake one can ever commit. Mistakes are part of life, and sometimes our mistakes even pull us farther away from our goal or destination. But this never means that our goal is meaningless or we can never achieve our goal. A person who wants can reach anywhere and achieve anything if they make a note of his mistakes and is willing to change them to get closer and closer towards his goals. Make a million mistakes but do not repeat the same mistake twice. This simply means that one should change according to his past mistakes. This simple thing of revolution can be seen very clearly in Adolf Hitler's life. If we closely see his childhood, we can find him moreover a comedian and an actor without any trace of the revolutionary acts of Adolf Hitler. It was just when he felt humiliated when thousands of his soldiers were branch a drastic change in Adolf Hitler. A leader was born inside Adolf Hitler on that day who was very focused towards his goal. He is even known to joke between and during the wars. Thank you for watching today's video on the key things we can learn from Hitler's rise to power. We hope that you found this video informative and thought-provoking. Please don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it and found it helpful. Also, consider subscribing to our channel if you want to learn more about history and other interesting topics. Finally, we'd love to hear your thoughts on this topic, so please leave a comment below and let us know what you think. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.